Rainbow Six Siege has over 50 million players worldwide, and you could assume the Siege community gets a bunch of new players every day, if not weekly. One of the things that frustrates players is the lack of knowledge or understanding. So here I have my top tips for new players in Siege so you can start having good habits early on, which will help you have better games as you get higher and higher up the levels, meaning happier teammates in the long run. Hey guys, today I have my top 10 Rainbow Six Siege tips that beginners should know. These tips are a personal choice as there's so many to choose from, and if I could go back telling myself any advice when starting Siege, well, this top 10 would definitely be it. These tips aren't in any order either, all tips are as useful as each other, there's no point of a ranking system. And I'll be referring to mostly the PC platform, and that's what I play on. However, these tips can be applied to all platforms that you may play on. This video is also aimed at brand new players who have just bought Siege, so I would assume you know nothing about Siege, but I don't see any reason why returning or experienced players can't benefit from this video. And if you have any further tips that aren't in this video, feel free to post them in the comments below. So without further ado, let's get started with number 10. And it's more of a basic requirement for any first person shooter, which is your DPI and sensitivity. Always change your DPI and sensitivity, and it's probably the most important things to get right, because with Siege you need good reaction times and good aiming and smooth aiming. So my advice to you is go into the settings when you start and mess around with them. My settings are going to be completely different to yours, so see what's comfortable and what is best for you. I recommend go into a custom match and fiddle around with them, or go into a terrorist hunt by yourself and fiddle around with them. And then the real test is actually going into quick match yourself, because that you will be able to tell the difference then. Now, a bonus little tip for PC players. I'm going to assume you all have a gaming mouse with some software which you can change your DPI with, and my advice here is setting your DPI high and your sensitivity in game low. Why do we do this? Well, the DPI on your mouse will be high, and this determines how far your mouse you'll physically move for you to have the action in game. So the higher it is, the less movement you're going to have to do. So if you've got a small mouse mat, then the higher it is. But then you can smooth out your aiming motion by lowering that DPI in-game sensitivity. So that's really nice to know for any of those PC players that's watching. Also, if you'd like a more in-depth guide on DPI and settings, let me know in the comments below. Moving on to number 9. Let's get into Siege now. And one of the things is intelligence. Intelligence is a great advantage in Siege, and the most powerful tool given to an attacker is your drone. Honestly, new players, use your drone. You're given 2, one at prep phase, which might get destroyed, and then you've got another one. Always assume nowhere is safe in Siege, wherever you go. And I would recommend start using your drone a bit more, because if you drone a bit more, then you might obtain more information for your team and yourself, instead of having surprises. And just having surprises is something that the defenders will be good at when you're attacking. Use your drone, because it might save your life and it might save your team's life, to gather some more intelligence and try to save your drone in prep phase. That's what I do anyway. When the objective is been spotted and we've got majority of the operators spotted on the defenders, I take my drone out to my spawn, pick it up, and then I can use it again. Moving on, number 8. Map knowledge is really important for any Siege player. If you know the map, you know where to go, and any alternative routes to get to the objective, or even flank the defenders. So, a little bit about maps. Siege has a map rotation, which is good for new players. You won't get overwhelmed with all the maps at once, and you get a small portion, which means you get to play the similar and same maps a lot more frequently, which means you'll get better at them. Now, I didn't have this luxury. This has been a relatively recent change to Siege, which I think is actually good. I know the community is sometimes split about it, but the map pool and map rotation I think is very good for new upcoming players. Now, obviously, I'm not expecting any new players to know every single thing about the map, but it's good to have a basic understanding. To start off with, I would recommend just try to learn the objective sites, where they are and how to get to them. And if you want to go even further, I do recommend unlocking Sledge, who has the ability to smash through soft walls, windows and doors, and this is a technique I use to get into maps. So I go into custom game, I pick Sledge on attack, and I sledge through soft walls, because that means I can have a look where this wall goes. What's on the other side of this wall? Where does this corridor go? Where does this hatch lead to? Where are the hatches above this site? All this kind of stuff. It is really useful. So if you have a spare 20 minutes, 10-20 minutes, set up a custom game, go into the map of your choice, bring Sledge. Number 7, anchors versus roamers. Know the difference, know the role. So very useful to know is anchors and roamers, and this is somewhat in relation to map knowledge, because if you have better map knowledge, you can roam better as a defender. Anchors and roamers are probably a term you might have heard of. If you haven't, well, they are types of roles for defenders. So your anchors, they stay on site, they hold angles, they protect the objective site by being on site. And roamers are the opposite. They roam the rest of the map there, and you're counted as a roamer when you are off map, when you're off site. And when you're off site, even if you're in the room next door, you're counted as a roamer. Roamers are used to flank and to gain intelligence and to slow down the attackers from getting to the objective. That is their job, and that's what they do. And some operators are more suited than others. I'm not saying there are specific operators that need to anchor or need to roam, because every single operator can roam and can anchor. However, there are some, as I said, more suited to others. I'm going to give you 4 examples. Right, defenders, Dock and Mirror. They would tend to anchor, not just because of the type of utility that they hold, but they are heavier and they walk and run a lot slower. And because they're heavier and walk and run a lot slower, you can hear them more dominantly than the others. So I would tend to keep them. Now, I have seen people actually roam with those two. If you can pull it off, go for it. Alibi and Kavira are more suited for roaming. They're speedy girls. And obviously we do have speedy boys as well. But for this example, I'm going to be using Kavira and Alibi. They are fast. They are a lot more faster, they're a lot more mobile and equipped with better equipment to roam. Even as a roamer, you will at some point have to return to site at some point, and you can anchor as well. Do what you feel is necessary with the operator that you have. And additionally, Kavira and Ally will also make less noise because they have less armor, but they run and walk faster than, say, Dock and Mirror. Time management is my tip for number 6, and the one thing that new players tend to do is stay outside for a long duration of the round, which isn't helping your team and very time consuming. The amount of times I see somebody get into maybe a little fight through a window and they hold that angle for 30 seconds to a minute, and that's not doing anything. I don't know what it is, but I think it seems to be down to the fear or uncertainty of where defenders are. Use your drone it out and get in, because you're no use to your team doing nothing. Even if you get in and die, you've tried helping your team to push for the objective. So try to get in to support your team as early as you possibly can. I'm not saying dive in and rush straight away. You can still be careful and drone and still get in within the first minute. Just do it a bit more efficiently and with your team to support them, because otherwise you'll end up with a 1 versus 3, and you could have actually changed that if you'd supported them. Moving on to tip number 5. Sound is your ally. Sound is very powerful in Siege. Try and use your headphones on both ears. Now, I'm not saying that is a definite have to. I know some people prefer one ear on, one ear off. I used to be one of those people, but now I'm both ears on. And that is because everything you do in Siege creates noise, and noise will help you identify where someone is and where they're coming from. So use your sound to your advantage, and that's gunshots, and you can tell the direction by the left and right of your headphones, and that's why I kind of recommend you use both of them. But wherever you're gaming, if you're in a situation where you need to have one ear on, one ear off, I don't see any issue, but it's just a recommendation that I do advise. Tip number 4 is understanding your kit. Your kit is very important, and as I said earlier, you have value for your team, and you want to utilize your value to the fullest. And that means you can push and defend the objective effectively. So I'm going to give an example of Thermite, who's an attacker. He has exothermic charges that are used for breaching reinforced walls, not soft or wooden barricades. So don't use them for that. You need to learn Thermite is for reinforced walls, and you should learn everything about it and what counters it. So let's take Thermite again. Mute jammers and bandit batteries can destroy thermite charges, so I recommend bring a Thatcher, chuck an EMP at the wall, and then you can reach it. So use your kit, but use it in the right way for the right situation. Tip number 3, crouch walking. I've already spoken about the importance of sound. Crouch walking is a way to limit the amount of noise which you make, which for slow peeking or an angle or roaming as a defender. I use it when I roam quite a lot, and it's very, very useful to sneak up on attackers. But don't overuse it as you do move slower. On PC, to do this, you press Alt. You can set it to toggle in settings, which is a lot more easier. Console is a bit more difficult. You don't really have crouch walking, but you can apply if you move your movement stick forward just a little bit, not fully. Then I suppose you can imitate the crouch walking that you get on PC. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments, because I'm not obviously a console player, I'm a PC player, but that, as far as I know, is what is what. Moving on, tip number 2, soft versus hard breach. So I've mentioned soft walls, but what are soft and hard breaches? So soft breaches can breach soft walls, hard breaches can breach hard walls. Now, what is the difference? Well, a hard wall is a reinforced wall. You get 2 panels as a defender, which you can place up. There are attackers that can breach those walls. So soft breach operators can go through walls that can be easily breakable. They can be easily breakable by shotgun, frag grenade, impact grenade, breaching charge, or using melee for peek holes. Sledge and Ash have the utility to be used to breach soft walls more easily. So Ash's breaching round can do it, and Sledge's hammer can do it. That's their special ability that can open up soft walls. Now hard breaches, which I mentioned, go through the reinforced panels. So thermite again, I've mentioned, and Habana. Habana uses her Habana pellets, which are window sized compared with thermite's door sized. So you can use those to breach the wall to help your team. Just remember the counters for hard breaches as well. My final tip is site rotation. So site rotations are useful for majoritively the bomb sites. They can be used for single room objectives or single objectives like hostage or a secure area, but they're most commonly used for bomb sites, and they're used to defend both sites at the same time. So there usually is a soft wall between the two sites, so it's easier to defend, and you put an impact, or if someone has a shotgun, you make a hole big enough for you to walk through or vault over, and if these walls are reinforced, it makes it hard to defend, and the attackers could take advantage of this. So bear in mind of that, and make sure when you're always on bomb, always have a rotation. It will save you in late game. Trust me from experience. And that, guys, is it. That is my top 10 tips for Rainbow Six Siege for those new players. I do hope you found this very helpful, and this would have helped me if I knew this at the start when I was playing Siege. These are quite basic tips and basic stuff that most players should know by now, but if you're brand new, what's to say what you do or don't know. So that is going to do it for today. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more content like this one, make sure you are subscribed. Hit the bell icon so you get notified for any new content that I post. If you'd like to discuss any of the videos or anything gaming related, you may feel free to join the Discord, which is linked in the description below. And I will be seeing you guys in the next one. Take care.